So naturally, I have to get out my giant shovel, bury everything into the ground just like my hopes and dreams, and make sure that everything else does never come back up again, leaving despair to just cover everything else. Now, excuse me while I go hype myself up in the mirror.
Today, these two contestants endure an introvert's nightmare for no prize and no money. I'm your host, Ben, on this episode of Blindsided. Now, let's meet your absolutely qualified judges. Top pizza sommelier, it's Brian Kissig. Guy who still roller rinks, it's Shawn Hanks. Signed a pact with an eldritch horror, it's Abrham Bogale. Some housekeeping before we start. Each contestant must present a slideshow they've never seen before. The contestants will be judged on comedy, character, and content. And did we mention they must complete their presentation in under 5 minutes? Now let's meet our contestants before they're blindsided. Contestant number 1. Wow, so incompetent. Contestant number 2. That's more like it.
Haha, gotcha.
All right, now, before we begin the game, please remember, like and subscribe. Contestant number 1, are you ready?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Your presentation starts now.
Twilight is the greatest cinematic and literary achievement
Nope.
of our time. And in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about why the movie of the Twilight Saga was robbed. Why the recognition and notoriety that it deserves was washed away because of Hollywood elitism. Next slide, please. Okay, so the cinematography captures how blue the lighting is in Washington State. I don't know if anybody's been in Washington State, but like everybody there is blue. And I mean, it's not only blue, it's also green, but it's also green because they're also blue, if you understand what I mean. Next slide. Now, baseball. We never really talked about baseball as a society until after that groundbreaking moment where all of these wonderful, talented, amazing people were throwing bats in the air and doing gymnastics and juggling tricks. And I don't know if you remember the character, but she kicked her leg up and threw that ball. Why? Because she is a winner. And the only reason that we play baseball in this country is to win. The American way. Next slide, please. Oh my goodness. Shirts were not a thing when this movie came out. Why? Why need a shirt when you have all of this wonderful packaging on your bodies? All right, look at them. I'm personally Team Jacob, but that's because I like people that don't act very well, but look very, very good. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Next slide. Now, the hairstyles in this film were beyond itself. Were ahead of its time. Literally led us into the future. Those wispy locks where she just took a straight eye and just on both sides. Like she looks like she could pop a balloon if she was near them. You know, just with her hair. And then look at that long, gorgeous locks on Jacob. Doesn't it make you want to just tie it and braid it into lovely little braids like a Polly Pocket?
Yes,
you know,
yes.
and the third one doesn't really matter, but it's fine. Next slide. CGI achievement of the decade. Harry Potter who? Harry Potter wishes. Harry Potter wishes they could do that, but they couldn't. That Twilight did that. We're gonna put that on a t-shirt. I have a business that I'm running. Anyway, next slide. Now, if you look into classical artwork, the idea is that Jesus was born as a fully formed individual. He was an adult man that was born as a baby. And this was the same concept for this child. She was born a fully formed, functioning human being. Well, vampire being thing. But she had the tiny features of a baby, but the bigger things of a grown vampire person thing. Because we are taking a modern take on classical artistry. And this movie was brave enough, ambitious enough, courageous enough. Next slide. And then this lady right here, Dakota Fanning, has been woefully amused in Hollywood. I challenge everyone in Hollywood to cast this woman. If you thought that a Jennifer Lawrence issues, Silver Linings Playbook, more like Planned Line Playbook. Boring. Cancelled. Period. Next slide. Oh my goodness. Have you ever, when people say any negative word about this achievement, this is my face. It's the face of rage, it's the face of constipation, and it is the face of me holding myself back from springing across the room, slapping them in the face with one of the Twilight books because it is thick enough to possibly murder somebody. I've had to stop myself on many occasions. But that is a mood. Look at his face and tell me that that's not a mood, ladies and gentlemen. Do it! You couldn't. I mean, you could, but you'd be lying to yourself and you'd be lying to everybody else, so it's fine. Next slide, Sam. In conclusion, if you find yourself in Washington State and you are in the middle of a supernatural freeway, you better have no emotions on your face because Kristen Stewart, Rob Pattinson, and the third one all made us believe not only in love, not only in strength, not only in courage, not only in weird, amorphous, baby thing people, but they also tell us that everyone's different. Not everyone is going to be the same as your neighbor. And it is up to you to be strong enough, mindful enough, yay! Considerate enough to look past that and see the person underneath. Glittery skin and all. I believe that will do it today for me. Thank you for your time.
Everyone, give him a round of applause. That was... He went over time again, but still...
The concept of time, they talk about the concept of time in the Twilight movies, and I feel like if you actually just went back and experienced them again, then you would grow as a person. You'd understand that time is not really...
Yeah. Vampires don't age.
They don't. Thank you. See, a learned man. I appreciate you, Seth.
Under the idea of it being vampire time, I guess that slideshow probably only took...
Nothing. It was a millisecond of vampire time.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Do you think they'll remember this in 150 years? No. Why? Because it was a blink for them. It was nothing.
This is fascinating.
I know, it's riveting, really. It really, once you dive further into the lore and understand where it's all coming from, it's really breathtaking. I've asked many men to bite my neck in anticipation of possibly becoming a vampire with glittery skin. It's a very, 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 very amazing feeling.
I mean, you don't need the vampire part. You can just do it.
No, I feel like the vampire part is what makes it that much more unique. And if you're losing the vampire part, it's just a man biting your neck. Which, I mean, that's a normal Tuesday for anybody else, right? Right? No?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that.
I mean, you know, everybody's got their thing. God damn it, host, just go to the next person.
All right. There was a bit that I wanted to lean into. All right. Now, judges, how are we feeling? Brian, what is your verdict?
Gosh, you know, I've been doing a lot of
reflection and thinking after this presentation. It had me on the verge of tears, I must say.
Thank you.
It makes me want to. It makes me want to visit the great state of Washington now even more, and
it really is
just
breathtaking.
thinking about how I played baseball myself as, a young child. It really, stood out to me when you talked about that for sure. And as it's CGI, I do visual effects and I do CGI as well, and just the wonderful words you had to say about this movie, it was just breathtaking. There is one thing, however, I wasn't very happy about the presentation. In the very beginning, you talked about the cinematography of the film.
Yeah.
I think the presentation actually said cinematography, and
It's okay.
I was a little
You know what? Dyslexia affects a lot of Americans, and I understand. You probably drink too much Mountain Dew. It's actually
but here's the
ruining your
thing.
brain cells.
As an expert on cinematography myself, I was very upset that you didn't go over this in the movie, and I would have liked you to explore that a little bit more. So a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, but mostly good, I would say.
Honestly, I didn't really want to get into the cinematography about that because, as most of us here know, I'm not sure if you're aware, but werewolves themselves are actually very, very deathly allergic to cinnamon. So, I know it's a very, very shocking realization when you find it out, and it's just something that you need to kind of educate yourself on. And I'm happy to help you to that realization, sir. But thank you for your criticisms. I appreciate that.
I think we can go somewhere with this. I'd love to connect with this further.
I'd love to connect with this further too.
Yes.
All right. Shawn, what is your verdict?
Well, wow. Personally, as a Twilight fan,
yes.
I think you.
Congratulations.
I think you really you did the movie some justice. I am a little offended at the fact that you brushed away Jasper so quickly. I think you should have. You talked.
I just
a lot
have
about...
issues with Jasper as a whole. I understand he's a baby vampire, but did he have to cause such a ruckus on her birthday? That's just unclassy. That's not a vampire. Vampires are dignified.
I hear you.
Thank you. I appreciate
and I admire your passion about.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. This is the culmination of my life's work, and I really appreciate you for that.
All right, Abraham.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find words. That was breathtaking, simply breathtaking. I found that as time went on, you really grew into this brilliant speech, much like how you grew into your accent. And speaking of accent, actually, question: what region of Europe are you from? That because I've never
It's actually. Again, it's actually a form of speech patterns that they actually use in Washington State, and it's actually brought from Forks in Washington, where Twilight is based.
God, I really didn't do too well in history. Obviously, you're much more knowledgeable than I am. So clearly.
I'm here to educate the children and to teach the people the beauty that is bestowed upon us from Washington State and from Twilight.
Amazing. Fantastic. I have nothing else.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. And with that, contestant number 2, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right. Your presentation starts now.
So, listen. Everyone poops. It's just a fact that everyone literally has to use the restroom in some way, shape, or form. Let's jump right into this presentation. Next, please. Obviously, everyone poops, but what else does everyone do? Because we're all people, and we're all creatures, and all creatures excrete excrement in some way, shape, or form, and naturally this all binds us together as one solitary, cohesive, worldly unit that everyone has to take into consideration. Next slide, please. So obviously, a lot of people, have those motivational conversations in the mirror. I mean, I do it every night. My girlfriend does it every other night. My dog is currently doing it right now. And so it's just one of those things that no matter what happens, we always just have those social conversations in the mirror, especially when you try to get some extra advice. You always want to call Bloody Mary. If you say her name 3 times in front of a mirror, she'll come out with like some snacks and cookies and be able to give everybody a deliciously good time. And she's great at listening to you. Next slide, please. Additionally, something else that everybody has in everything have people in common is that people tend to run upstairs on your hands. See, this is how I get into and out of my apartment on a daily basis, where mainly it's good to always try to walk up and down using our hands to be able to get a really good feel for the earth around us. And so it's a very common trait that both women and men have. Next slide, please. Additionally, there's also people that tend to perform satanic rituals to try and Freaky Friday the Property Brothers. Because trust me, I've done this so many times. I've tried it so many times. I've watched the shows. I've watched the movies. I've watched the uncut previews. Every time I try to have them switch, and they don't do it. And I want it to happen, and everyone else is with me on this. I assume. Especially my dog. She keeps coaxing me to do it. Next slide, please. Jill, you're a good dog, right? You're a good dog. You're such a good girl. She'll never know, and she won't tell people. But yes, I totally can tell you that all of the bodies of water are currently stored with Jill, and she is the only one that knows where they are. Because I want these bodies of water because of everyone else being locked in. I kind of need to keep my bodies of water protected for my own sanity. Next slide, please. Now, don't get me wrong. Jill also, she tends to find things like extra game or going back to the matter of what everyone does, poop. So what do I naturally have to do? Bury it. So naturally, I have to get out my giant shovel, bury everything into the ground just like my hopes and dreams, and make sure that everything else does never come back up again, leaving despair to just cover everything else. Now, excuse me while I go hype myself up in the mirror. Is there any more slides? Oh, there's more, so going back to it. Road rage is so hard, other drivers are transported to another dimension. Whoops! Yeah, I mean, I sometimes tend to drive 88 miles an hour. Sometimes Jill here has to drive 47 miles an hour, and we're always traveling to different dimensions, sometimes to Washington State, other times to the Twilight realm. Either way, people tend to go back and forth to where we need to go, thanks to modern rage techniques. Next slide, please. Now, see, the best part is that whenever I also make sure to reopen those bodies, because my enemy's firstborn turns into a head of iceberg lettuce. Now, naturally, I tend to have this ability to be able to transmit my head to go back and forth, since I am naturally my own worst enemy. However, since I have to try to change it back, everyone else in the process realizes that they are also their own worst enemies, and therefore can turn back into iceberg lettuce. Never thought about that, did we? Final slide, please. So in conclusion, we all have a lot of common traits that we all tend to share amongst one another. But at the end of the day, just make sure to hype ourselves up, watch out for the iceberg head goddess, and make sure to always talk to your dog, and make sure that you double check where you hide your bodies of water, poop, and anything else that's buried in the ground. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to talk to the mirror.
All right, let's give him a round of applause. That was oddly self-deprecating, but also insightful.
It is, it's there.
All right, we'll go right into it. Brian, how are you feeling?
Gosh, well, that was an adventure, I would have to say. Man, I really appreciate this such great life advice, man. It's sometimes you have to reflect on yourselves and think about the things that you could be doing differently in this world, and you really nailed that. And I've never tried, to drive into a different dimension from road rage. I try to hold back my road rage most of the time, but I know now that I can let loose the rage that I have building up inside of me and travel to those dimensions that we've never ever found before. And a couple of things I had against your presentation, though, I found it was a little present just about against cats. You talked a lot about dogs, but as a cat owner myself, I would have liked to hear a little bit more about how I should talk to my cat about the dead bodies that I need to bury and the dead bodies that I know that he is burying daily. How do I talk to him about that? You only talked about dogs. What about the cats?
This is a good perspective. Thank you.
I had a problem with your first statement that you made. You said that everyone poops. That is not true. I do not poop. I've never pooped in my life.
Vampires don't poop either.
That's true.
Completely.
That's true.
I feel so wronged, and I shouldn't have done that. So I apologize to both you and vampires
everywhere. You're gonna have to
everywhere.
check your facts on that.
I
would conduct a survey.
Sure.
Including cats, vampires, and myself.
Sure. All right. So I'll make sure to contact. Yes. You know what? I thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And if you need help coming up with a survey and organizing it, I would love to step in and maybe help you along with that. But overall, just fantastic life advice. I can't wait to try it myself, and I look forward to hyping myself up in the mirror tonight as well.
All right. Thank you for your feedback.
All right, Shawn.
Okay. Yes, I'm a little concerned that you are making so many generalizations about so many people by saying that everybody does all of these things when I feel that that's very assumptive. I don't know. I do appreciate that you brought in, dogs and you said both men and women do something, so I liked that aspect but I did feel a little offended that there were so many generalizations made. I feel like you couldn't possibly know what everybody does, and like my friend Brian said, not everybody poops, so I don't know, I'm disturbed.
Seems like a really flawed slide.
Well, nonetheless, it was just the fact that I was able to produce in my own research, and that in my observations, every other single person, creature, and thing that I've encountered did poop. However, as Brian said, I did not have the chance to come across cats, Bryans, and vampires, so I will have to expand my research and continue moving forward. So I appreciate that feedback.
All right, Abraham.
Yeah, unlike Shawn, actually, I have to disagree. I think that it was beautiful how you were able to find the tethers that bind us all together as opposed to trying to find what separates us. I really appreciate that. I do have a clarifying question and an update for one of your slides.
Sure.
To be clear, you were talking about bodies of water, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I would just like to make sure that it is out there in the open. Definitely, it is about bodies of water. And,
of course.
Yeah. Okay, making sure. Wink.
Of course.
And as far as the Property Brothers is concerned, the Freaky Friday situation you were talking about, there actually is a reason why you can't Freaky Friday the Property Brothers. A Freaky Friday situation actually requires two different people in a family dynamic, when in fact there's actually a secret third property brother that no one knows about. Thereby,
son of a gun, I knew it!
Thereby it renders the ritual of Freaky Fridaying the two of them, it cannot happen. I've tried it myself. I've had a few failed attempts myself. It doesn't work out.
I completely forgot about the lawyer brother.
Yeah.
There was the broker brother, the builder brother, and then the lawyer brother.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until I tried using the Home Depot theme song during my ritual that I found out, this definitely is, there's something else going on here.
Now, judges, we're going to make our final call on who will pass on to the next round. Brian, who's your money with?
Gosh, well, man, it's a completely, it's a really tough decision, and there's so many things I think were left unsaid on both sides, and there's so many questions I want to ask, following up. Do you mind if I ask the contestants one question each to determine why
Sure.
the winner?
I'll allow it. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, contestants, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Well, I like to start my day off with blood orange juice. I feel like that really kind of wakes me up. It has a little bit more kind of extra kick to my day. Vitamin C is very, very useful. And then I have been trying to go paleo. So, go ultra paleo. It's like the next level.
Okay, you're saying too many words here. You're saying too many words. I just wanted a simple answer. Joe, what's your answer?
I simply took some of the tomatoes from my garden, chopped them up, fried them with eggs, and served them over a nice creme bouche.
Yeah, I like that better. Joe wins.
Okay, well, I mean, this isn't that hard of a decision for me, sorry, gentlemen, but I am forever a fan of Twilight, and I loved the passion coming from Jonathan, and honestly, Joe kind of creeped me out, so I'm gonna
That's fair.
say
This is valid.
Jonathan is the winner in this.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And Abraham.
Jeez, I'm breaking a tie. I feel like I want to have like a throwaway, like a fake reason for why I'm going to choose it. But I actually will. I will try. On one hand, I have the binding together of all the human race and what brings us together in commonality, and then Twilight. Both great presentations. Actually, I appreciate the fact, Jonathan, that you were able to really sell me on Twilight.
Thank you. It is a masterpiece.
Really?
As much as I don't want to, I'm gonna have to say Twilight. Jonathan, I think you sold it better than I could have ever imagined.
Thank you.
And that is the reason why I'm choosing it.
All right. Well, there we have it. Jonathan passes on to the next round, where he will be facing off with Joe. Now,
Thank you.
Blindsided will be back along with our current panel of judges. October. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I'm getting this right.
Just say insert date here, and then you can
insert
edit, you can
date here. Yeah.
Exactly. Just put the date right here.